Hello and welcome. I am the Sterling and today we are playing Going Medieval. We have a big episode planned. I want to make a big push and attempt to finish the Amphitheatre. Can I actually do it? That's the question. So sit back, grab a cold one and let's get started. We finished the last episode in summer 1385. A year has passed and we're now on the first day of summer 1386, and a lot has happened throughout this year. One of the first things we did is we got stuck in the mining out all that clay that was here in the corner. We ripped about 15,000 out of the ground, give or take, which was plenty. But as you see, we are now down to 24. Not 24,000, 24 clay. Where did it all go? In the last episode, I did get a little silly building quite a few kilns, but in this episode, I built a few more. Ta-da! I built an extra row of kilns. The big problem that I found in the last episode, there just wasn't enough people to maintain and manage the kilns. So I fixed that. I went into the jobs and I went through and set everybody to a priority of 2 for crafting. It's been set back to 3 now, but it was on 2. That way every single kiln was managed constantly. We now have 8,339 clay bricks. Now, if my calculations are correct, we only need about 8,000, give or take, to finish off the amphitheatre. So we're in the ballpark. Hopefully. My math has been wrong in the past, but I feel this is promise. And continuing talking about math, I then did the math and worked out that I need a little over 6,500 limestone bricks, give or take. So I got stuck into it and built 7,000 limestone bricks. Fingers crossed that that is enough to finish the amphitheatre. Now, the reason why I've done this is, as I said before, I want to attempt to finish the amphitheatre this episode, or get bloody close to doing so. I also want to make a few little modifications, especially to the river down here. I want to knock out this retaining wall. This entrance to the area is actually just temporary, as I mentioned in the past. The real way that you're going to enter the amphitheatre is via a bridge that will be here, that leads into this tunnel that I prepared when I dug out all the clay, that leads to the bottom of this tower. And that's how I was able to access this area here to mine it all out. And then I backfilled it once we were done. It was actually quite a quick job. So building this bridge will be one of the first tasks I do this episode. Now, you've probably noticed that there's a little bit of a change going on in the layout of Castle Sterlington, and you would be correct. There's an above ground storage area here for barley and an above ground storage area here for red currants. The reason for this, we had a bottleneck in our underground storage area, and so the important foods like meat were rotting above ground because we had no place to store them. Now, as for the red currants, I could just turn off a few fields here and there, but I decided bugger it, I'll just store them above ground. What they use will be used, and what doesn't get used will turn to vegetable rot and I can nick off. But as for the barley, as I've mentioned in the past, I don't have that privilege. I have to continue the barley supply, not for the barley, but for the fodder to feed all our animals. Because if we can't feed the animals, they die, and we eat once and then we die. Now, I have attempted selling off our excess barley, and I have been utilising the merchants quite heavily this year and a couple of years before. But the amount that we rip off the fields, we just can't get rid of. So this was a nice, neat little solution. We weren't using this space anyway. Now, the reason why I bring up the merchant is for a couple of different reasons. There's a happy reason and a sad reason. The happy reason is that occasionally when a merchant comes, we've had the privilege of buying his ass. And the great thing about that is the ass has a storage limit of 180, compared to the dogs that only have a storage limit of 50. This means for every 1 ass is almost equivalent to 4 dogs, which that's awesome. So far, I've bought 4 ass and I've killed off 4 dogs. I could potentially kill off 4 times that, though I'd prefer to kill off the dogs slowly as our population of donkeys slowly grows. But only needing 1/4 of the hauling population should really help with our frame rate and the fact that our game keeps freezing. I have been constantly culling our farm stock, trying to keep it down to 14 per animal, 7 of each sex. But this has not helped. It really hasn't. It potentially can be a lot worse when our animal population gets too high, but it doesn't get much better culling the animals. Because at the end of the day, our problem isn't the animals. It is the large amount of resources we have stored. And so every single merchant that comes along, we've been selling tons and tons and tons of iron ore, iron ingots, anything to try and get our storage right down. Problem was, we had like 60,000 iron ore, a mind-boggling amount. There was no chance that we were going to get that down. And so I did a test. I went to the dev tools and I went destroy all piles just to see how the game will function. It fixed the freezing problem. So that confirmed to me that yes, it is, in fact, the large amounts of resources we have stored. So after reloading the game, I had a difficult decision to make. I had to break my own rules. I had to use the dev tools to fix this issue, or else there was no way that I could continue because it hit a point where the game was freezing every single day. So I went to the dev tools and I selected destroy pile on point, and I went into both our major storage areas, this one here and this one here. And I deleted all of the iron ore out of this area, all 60,000. And I deleted a massive chunk of iron ingots. About 20,000 iron ingots I deleted, leaving about 2,000 left over. Now, this didn't sit right with me, but it had to be done. Otherwise, the game was dead. Question is, has it fixed the problem? Well, the game freezes every 4 or 5 days. So, yes, it's playable. Now, if I deleted every pile on the game would run significantly better. But then our settlers would die in about 5 minutes, our animals would die in about 5 minutes, all due to lack of food and resources. So that's not a possibility. This is the best I think we're going to get it for the moment. And it gives us the chance to build our amphitheatre, giving this series a great send-off. Now, I think I've caught you up. I don't think I've missed anything, and if I have, I'll let you know. So I think it's time for us to start getting to work on the amphitheatre. Before I hit play and let them build this section here, as I said before, the first thing I want to do is build this bridge, as the access will be significantly quicker via here than this section that they're using right now. It's going to be pretty straightforward. It's just going to be a couple of stone walls and an iron gate, and then a stone bridge. And then we'll just dig this section out here. There we go. Now we're ready to hit play and let them get to work. That there is the next level of the amphitheatre, now complete. We're making good time this episode, so while we're on a roll, let's continue and plan out the next level of the build. We'll start with the outer wall. It's exactly the same as we've already been doing every other level. Fantastic, just like so. Now it's time to do the inner wall. It's going to be slightly different than we've already been doing. There will no longer be an inner limestone wall. So the limestone arches that hold everything up will go straight from the limestone outer wall directly to the clay brick inner wall, just like so. Then, as per usual, we'll have wooden floor set back by 3 blocks, and then the rest is just done as we usually do. Now that's done, this is where things begin to get a little bit more complicated, as it's time to do the corner. Now it's going to be very similar to what we've already been doing, but there is going to be a change. So the first thing we're going to do is put down a timber wall here. We'll have 2 timber beams either side here, one here, and one here, just like so. Now it's time for the hard part, adding the timber steps. What makes them so hard? There's no place to put them. So guess what? There ain't any timber steps on this level. Rather, we'll be using wooden ladders instead. There'll be one here and one here. The reason why there's no room for the stairs is because of where the clay brick wall runs across the back here, which I can demonstrate with what I prepared earlier. Right here. As you can see, there's clearly no room for any stairs, so we do have to use ladders. Let's face it, it's not the end of the world. Now it's time to hit play and let them get to work building it. Wow, we are smashing it this episode. Though it is at the cost of our settlers. Trust me, they're having hissy fits, they're passing out. They're just a big bunch of sooks if you ask me. But you can't fault the results. Have a look at that. And you may have noticed I decided to add the next level of the outer wall. And that now means we only have one level left, which is fantastic. We're almost complete. And even without the top on it, have a look at the way it overshadows the castle. Bloody huge. Look at it. Now, I won't gas bag too much because, as I said, I dead set want to get this finished this episode. Now, moving on, let's put the next level on. This is where it starts to get a little bit complicated. Starting in the corner, we need to add 2 more ladders. Here and here. Next, we'll add the outer limestone wall. Now, if you remember, I was tossing up whether or not to go clay brick or limestone brick for the top level. I have decided that keeping with the continuity of the outside wall, I will go limestone brick. Now it's time to put the rest of the grandstand in. Now all that's left is to add the roof and a few little trimmings here and there, and then we'll be right to hit play and let them get to work building it. Day 9 of winter, 1386. We have finally finished the amphitheatre. And I gotta say, I really like the way it's come up. Honestly, I wasn't sure about doing the top row in limestone brick. I thought it might actually look a bit better doing the top row in clay brick, just to break it up a bit. But no, I think I made the right choice doing it all in uniform, all being limestone brick, though my word was it a pain in the butt building all those clay bricks. But once again, I definitely think it was worth it. Now, before I can completely call it finished, there's 1 or 2 things I still would like to do on the amphitheatre. Unfortunately though, that will have to wait for another episode, as this is all the time we have for today. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.